Hello, how was your day today? John DCQR reporting from somewhere in Toronto, Canada. I know that I've not been narrating many videos in a while, so I'm going to start doing an upload series called The Babboonery of the Occupy Wall Street Movement and Its Real Intentions. This series is going to be a continuous work in progress. Some audios may be long while other audios may be short. I am going to be reading a whole bunch of articles that I found of interest and going to give you my between the lines opinion about the whole thing. You will either like the analysis or you will not. The most important thing is to get you to think about the fiasco called Occupy Wall Street. The first article that I'm going to read is called Appropriately for a beginning a series is called Trace and Occupy Wall Street's Roots. This article was written by Sharon Sigletto and Stefano Moretti on October 15, 2011. The link is in the description box, so let us start analyzing the wreck called Occupy Wall Street. The Occupy Wall Street movement has tapped the common vein of discontent but lacks a common cause, and that reduces its power to push for change, watchers say. Of course, the lack of common cause is intentional. The watchers are amplifying the idea that the people are yappy, irresponsible, and spoiled brats. Also, notice the code phrase, push for change. When someone says that, it means nothing will change. The protests, which started in New York on September 17th, are set to go global this weekend with sit-ins planned for cities in more than 70 countries, including Montreal, Toronto, Calgary, and Vancouver. The protests are so obviously financed and organized by powerful vested interests around the world. Look at the media attention this event was given in the last month or two, and look at the logistics required to organize such an event. This movement obviously reeks of an astral turf war, much like the Tea Party movement, and the same people that financed the Tea Party movement quite likely contributed to the Occupy Wall Street movement. After all, the Koch family wants to gain more control of Wall Street, but I digress. The movement traces its origins back to a poster campaign from earlier this summer by Adbusters, a Vancouver-based anti-corporate magazine most famous for its spoof ads. And that's the reality of Occupy Wall Street. It is a spoof or phony movement. The protesters have no concrete agenda. The protesters have no concrete agenda or demands, but are united in the common belief that the economy we know it is broken and benefits only the richest 1% of society. Johnny won't share, Mommy. Tell Daddy to give me more what Johnny has. And to hell with being productive and irresponsible. By the way, that 1% figure is certainly arbitrary. For the question one should ask, who created that figure and how they came to that figure. But moving on with the babboonery. Duff Knotcher asks, I'll repeat it again, Duff Knotcher, founder of Democracy Watch, would like to see the Occupy Canada take more shape. Earlier this week, the group tabled the top 15 key bank and corporate policy changes it believes protesters should embrace. Give the corporate state more power because the mass herds of humanos are simply unproductive and irresponsible. There will not be communism and the brotherhood of man anytime soon, so fascism will simply have to suffice for the time being. It's easy to be an activist. It's not so easy to be an effectivist, he said. You need well-researched and articulated demands that cannot be dismissed as being ridiculous. Activism and effectiveness is determined by which community of interest has the most money, power, and influence. And they are the same people that signed Conacher's paycheck. You can figure the rest out yourself. With a slender Harper majority and a number of acts related to banks and business under review, now is a good time to press for an agenda for change, he said. Harper is a CNP member who frequently speaks at CFR meetings, so big business and high finance can hardly wait for what they're bought and paid for. I'll repeat that again. Harper is a CNP member who frequently speaks at CFR meetings, so big business and high finance can hardly wait for what they're bought and paid for. Demand to hear from their bought and Forgive me, I'll repeat that again. Harper is a CNP member who frequently speaks at CFR meetings, so big business and high finance can hardly wait for what they're bought and paid for. Demands from activists. It's a good time in Canada, but if you do not make demands, you will not get specific solutions. There is also the risk that loosely framed street protests will be hijacked by violent elements that will cause you to lose support, he says. As you should know by now, it's all part of the game. Adrienne Roberts is a postdoctoral fellow in the Political Studies Department at Queen's University. She said that the movement's broad agendas is its strength, not its weakness, because it unites so many. A university fellow with perception and intelligence, that is something that one does not see too often. Unite them all for the recreation of Ultima Thule. Groups are protesting issues ranging from the environment to the economy, social welfare, and gender equality. More confirmation that people are unwilling or unable to take control and responsibility for their own lives. All of these issues are actually integrally connected, part of the system. Damn right they are, just the way the corporate system wants it. After the 2008 financial crisis, governments around the world abandoned progressive agendas, she said. No, they have not. Ultima Thule is progressing at full speed ahead. Somehow the idea that we have to spend all our resources on bailing out the financial sector has taken precedence above all other types of social and environmental problems. The financial sector was not bailed out. They never received their money from the irresponsible debtor who believes that they have a right to borrow without having to repay. When there is a financial system that encourages both creditor and debtor alike to be irresponsible, what would one expect? Besides, financial, social, environmental problems are all interconnected, with the main determinants being greed, irresponsibility, and delusion. Occupy Wall Street, now in its 29th day, was in part inspired by the so-called evil spring and civil uprisings in Europe, Adbuster says. The Arab Spring brought the Muslim Brotherhood into power all over Southwest Asia, and Occupy Wall Street will bring the area nations into power in America after Obama's second term is finished. I don't actually see any end in sight, Roberts says. When powerful vested interests get what they want, it will end soon enough with another scam to be replaced with more shock testing and amplification. There will be changes as a result of the movement, she said, even if a straight line can't be drawn from the protest to specific announcement. So what is your point? More things will stay the same. The movement is very powerful and drawn attention of the global population as well as the global leaders. People do not actually care about these issues, and people are not going to stand by while they cut social spending, while they cut environmental spending in order to bail out the corporations. People actually care about the world. I hope she was joking. The peoples care about their all the people care about are their imagined privileges, and that is all. This idealistic drivel is starting to make me sick. I have other things to do right now, so do stay tuned. I have more uploads coming in the near future. I am going to be reading a whole bunch of articles that I found of interest and going to give you my between the lines opinion about the whole thing. You will either like the analysis or you will not. The most important thing is to get you to think about the fiasco called Occupy Wall Street. The first article that I'm going to read is called Appropriately for beginning a series is called Trace. Hello, how is your day today? John DCQR reporting from somewhere in Toronto, Canada. I know that I've not been narrating many videos in a while, so I'm going to stick and Occupy Wall Street's roots. This article was written by Sharon Sigletto and Stefano Moretti on October 15, 2011. The link is in the description. Start doing an upload series called The Babboonery of the Occupy Wall Street Movement and Its Real Intentions. This series is going to be a continuous work in progress. Some audios may be long while other audios may be short.